Hey folks, welcome back for another fight card prediction here for the International Fight Week, the run up to UFC 200. I've just made my video for UFC Fight Night 90 Dos Anjos Alvarez. We're moving on to the TUF 23 finale, which is set to conclude I think in the next week or two, probably the Wednesday beforehand we'll find out the final matches. But this is a great main event for this card, the rematch between Joanna Jedrzejczyk and Claudia Gadelha. Some fighters I'm looking forward to seeing throughout the card: Choi, the debuting Will Brooks, the former Bellator lightweight champion, and there is a few others throughout that I'm looking forward to. As always, follow the guys down below me. Best fight picks, the great guy Dan. I think I'm going to be on one of his shows in the run up to 200. Check out his show, specifically breaking down UFC 200. He's going to have Robin Black, who's one of the best guys out there for breaking down fights. Sean Carey's going to be on there, one of the best bettors out there. So go follow those guys on Twitter. Follow their bets, watch the predictions, just great stuff. Rockstar Z, Kyle, just a guy who's kind of clued in his bets, rebounded big up after 199, which was a tough card for him. But rebounded like every true kind of pro does. Flying Brian always puts out great content, and I'm a big fan of his work. Of course, there's James Lynch interviews, the Part & Shot podcast, just one of the best guys out there. Go follow him, watch his interviews. You always learn something new from watching his videos, upcoming opponents and stuff like that. So, and fighters coming through. Severe MMA, Talking Brawls, great podcast, great guys, always supported me and always said help me out whenever I've needed it. So thank you to those guys. And come follow me on Twitter, Will Martin MMA. Okay, let's get into this card. Overall, okay, decent card. I've never been to like the events with us three in a row. I had it kind of. In fact, I did. I had it last year when I was over for International Fight Week. I had Invicta on the Thursday, and then I think it was UFC 189, and then the TUF finale. It's a lot to cram in, but you get to the end of the week, it's tough. But no, if I was over there, I'd be there straight from the first fight, watching all the time. So we're going to get into welterweight division. Jianliang, Li Jianliang, got there eventually, against Anton Zafir. Now, I think this is an absolute smash fest for Jianliang here. Anton Zafir came in short notice last time out against James Montasri. Got knocked out in the first round due to a spinning back fist. I don't know how you can feel confident in picking this guy. This guy trains out of his own gym with no notable training partners whatsoever. That in this day and age, that just does not work. I mean, in Australia, I'm sure he could go around and train with some guys that are coming through, or at least come to America and do some of that. I know it's a lot of money and expense to do that, but you can't pick a guy like Zafir in a fight like this. Jianliang, he actually goes about camps. Different. He's been to Jackson's, I believe, so he's been to Korea Top Team, I think. He's been out there in Busan, so he's been around, and he's a tough fighter. He's coming off, he kind of trades wins and losses in the UFC, but he's a big bulky guy to fight. I think in this fight he's going to blow Zafir out of the water. I mean, he lost to Keita Nakamura, did alright in that fight, outstruck Nakamura, went for the takedown, and just Nakamura caught him with a beautiful rear naked choke in the scrambles down on the ground there. Before that, he knocked out Diego Lima very quickly. He's starting to resurge back on the scene with his win at Titan there. Nordin Taleb, I thought he lost that fight. I thought he won that fight. I thought it was a bit of a hometown decision. David Michaud, that's a fight that could kind of went either way. I gave it to Li Jianliang, but my pick for this one's going to be Jianliang. I think he's going to blast. He comes out and throws big haymakers, and I think he's going to catch Zafir. I don't see where Zafir's going to really hurt Jianliang in this one. He might shoot for a takedown. Liang is very physically strong, manoeuvres guys around very easily. I like Jianliang in this one. I like him in the first round via TKO. Lightweight division, great fight. Jake Matthews, this was supposed to be Stevie Ray against Jake Matthews. Stevie Ray had some visa issues, and Kevin Lee stepped in here, so a really good replacement, really good fight with two up-and-coming young fighters in that lightweight division. Very close fight, been going back and forward with my pick in this one. Yeah, let's start with Jake Matthews. Like, this guy's a prodigious talent. I think in a few years he could easily be in the top 10 of the lightweight division. he's starting to kind of put things together. He's been going to TriStar, doing a little bit of training out there, so he'll be getting better sparring. Just fighting better fighters than he would be training back home. I think in Australia I think he actually trains out a gym literally at the end of his back garden. I remember listening to an interview saying that. Only lost in the UFC is to James Vick, who's a very tough fighter, and himself there got caught in a beautiful guillotine choke there. What he does well, he's got really good output, and he's starting to put everything together. That natural strength, I mean, being a young guy coming up, that natural strength is starting to come into it now, and he's really starting to be dangerous everywhere. On the feet, he's got the TKO victory over Akbar Areola, where he just kind of pounded on him and got to the end of the round. He kind of messed him up that bad that the doctor had to stop the fight in that one. Johnny Case, I thought was a really good win, because Case, not his biggest fan, but I think he is a tough guy to fight. Went down to Australia, was a bit back and forth between those two, but he came out and top with a victory and a stoppage as well. Wins also in the UFC over Wagner Hosha and Deshaun Johnson. Kevin Lee rebounded very well after that devastating loss back at UFC 194 with a very close fight against Efrain Escudero. I've seen people, once I come home, I kind of look through some of the timeline, people say that Escudero won that fight. I don't see it with my own two eyes in the crowd. I had Kevin Lee the whole fight, but seen people give it Escudero. Not for me. Before that, he got knocked out. I think he got a little bit too confident against Leonardo Santos, got too aggressive, and Santos caught him with a beautiful clean shot with a right hook, I think it was, followed up with TKO punches, and that was it. I think he kind of learned a lot from that. If he stays to his kind of grind himself, taking people down, he will win fights, and he did that against Escudero. He's going to have to up a level here, I believe, against Jake Matheus. I think Matheus is explosive, he's strong, he's creative when it goes to the ground, but I think this is the type of fight where Kevin Lee can really put his mark on Jake Matheus here, if he can keep him to the ground. But say that the strength that Matheus shows is he's got a lot of natural strength as Jake Matheus, but I think that Kevin Lee can do enough to keep him on the ground here. Would not bet this fight in the slightest. My pick will be Kevin Lee. It will be a split decision victory, I believe. Fighting in Vegas as well, he hasn't got that travel to deal with. I'm going to go Kevin Lee via split decision, but very close fight, could go either way. Middleweight division, Cezar Ferriera against Anthony Smith. Another fight I can kind of see going both ways here, but my pick will be Cezar Ferriera. Anthony Smith got his second chance in the UFC, I believe. I think it was, could be wrong, back in the day. I know he was in Strikeforce. He did come into the UFC, I remember now. He beat Leleco last time out, took some big shots, delivered some big shots, but Leleco is not a good fighter. He's got no technique whatsoever. He swings punches, just a bit of a madman, really. I think Ferriera, we all know this guy hasn't got a chin, and in MMA that's never a good thing, but he is a big guy in the middleweight division. I know that I think Smith will probably be bigger than him here. He's a long guy himself, long rangy guy, but I think we all know what his game plan has to be. He has to get the fight to the ground. If he stands on the feet with anybody, I don't care in the middleweight division, he's going to get blasted out. He's got a really bad chin. I can see Ferriera, he's coming off that win against Olawale Bamboze, which I thought was a good win, but Bamboze did come in a few weeks' notice, I believe. I thought that he would find the chin, didn't do so, got the fight there, the takedowns to take him there. I can see Ferriera submitting Anthony Smith here. I think that Smith, he showed in the last fight, I know it was short notice himself, he came in, he gassed pretty badly, but he still managed to get through the fight, and he kept Leleco at bay with his long jab, keeping him at distance and hurting him up there. I like Cezar Ferriera in this one. I think he's going to find a way to get this fight to the ground. Once he finds it, once he puts it on the ground, I just think it's a matter of time before he finds a submission. Got a really good choke on him. So my pick will be Cezar Mutante Ferriera via submission in round number 2. Flyweight division, John Moraga against Matheus Nicolau. I think this is a close fight. I've been speaking with a few people, and they have been saying, this Nicolau is not a good guy, he shouldn't really be in the UFC. I think otherwise, and it's just something I see in him a little bit. I think he's just a good fighter, really decent up-and-coming fighter. I know we've seen it come off, I think, one of the TUF shows. He beat Bruno Correa via necktie last time out in the third round. Showed that he's got some striking there, got some nice speed, some nice footwork, as most flyweights do. And I think he's just a really smart fighter. 11-1 record. I watched some of his fights before the UFC. Nothing to kind of ride home about. And this is a huge step up in competition, no doubt about it, going from Bruno Correa to John Moraga here, who's a former title participant, beat some good guys in that division, fought all the best in the division. But I just think that Nicolau can steal this one. I think it's going to be very close. Moraga on occasions can get taken down. I think Nicolau can maybe expose that a little bit. But as I say, John Moraga, a guy fighting out of, actually seen him, actually a big flyweight. When I stood next to him at UFC 197 when I was there, I think he was there to support Henry Cejudo. Quite a big guy. I thought kind of big guy for being a flyweight, but saying I'm not the biggest guy myself. So coming off that loss to Joseph Benavidez, not too many guys are going to beat him. Willie Gates, Justin Scoggins. Scoggins the guy I rate, but that's a good win. John Dodson got stopped, beat Dustin Ortiz. I thought Ortiz should have won that fight. Just an overall good pro who is going to give anybody a fight in the UFC. This pick for me, I'm going to pick Nicolau via a decision here. Now, this is a heart over head pick here. Occasionally I'll do this where I'll kind of weigh things up, but I think that Nicolau, I think he's a little bit the faster fighter. I've got a funny feeling that he might pull through this one. This is my kind of a big kind of Hail Mary pick, I think. But I'm going to pick Matheus Nicolau via decision. Could be completely off with this one. Will blatantly admit if I am. But I'm going to pick Nicolau via decision. Next up, featherweight division. Gray Maynard against Fernando Bruno. Gray Maynard, I don't think this guy should be fighting. I think that he's took too many shots. There's just no need for him to and especially dropping down in a division. He's moving. He's going to be losing more weight. That chin's going to be becoming even more susceptible to punches. Bruno's not a big puncher. He's more a submission guy, but I can see him knocking out Gray Maynard in this one. Bruno lost to Gleikau Franca via submission at I think it was at one of the pay-per-views in Brazil last year. Lost in the third round. Franca's a tough guy. Saw him at 197. Durable guy. He's going to stay around. He trains out in Novo now. I don't know who the fuck to pick in this one. I can't pick Gray Maynard because I just can't trust his chin. I think Bruno could knock him out. I think if Maynard wants to win this fight, he has to use his wrestling. Bruno's actually a pretty good grappler himself. He can stop the takedown. But I think this is probably as good a wrestler grappler as Bruno will ever face. Maynard can take him down and use the submissions. I just don't see it. I think that it's just Gray Maynard after this will be done. Not confident in this pick whatsoever. I literally flipped a coin and it came up for Bruno, so I'm going to pick Bruno via decision. But I can easily see a knockout for Bruno here as well. I just don't feel confident picking Gray Maynard, so I'm going to pick Fernando Bruno in this one. Joaquim Silva against Andrew Holbrook, lightweight fight. Holbrook coming off let's say a contentious decision against Ramsey Nijem. Got outstruck, got taken down, completely dominated and managed to get the victory in a horrible scorecard there in Chicago. He is a really good submission guy. That's somewhere I think he can definitely win this fight here. Silva is very explosive, but he's very open to takedowns, and I think if Holbrook can take him down there, he will chain some stuff together where he will find a submission and finish Silva. I think he got the split decision victory over Nazareno Malagari, which I thought was a very close fight. Don't feel confident picking Silva in this one. I think that Holbrook is definitely the better fight once it hits the ground, and I think he will use that to his advantage. So my pick will be Andrew Holbrook via submission in round number 2. Featherweight division, Choi against Thiago Tavares. Now, this is one of the fights in the whole week, or fighters I'm looking forward to seeing, because I think that Choi can be a legit challenger in this division within the next 18 months if he keeps progressing the way he is. I mean, he came out against Last time out, Sam Sicilia. I think he's only had 2 fights in the UFC, a minute and a half altogether. The guy looks like a complete gangster with his striking. Very technical, very fast. Just really, he's got power in those hands. Beat Juan Puig in his UFC debut. And Sam Sicilia can bang with a lot of people in that featherweight division. Do Ho Choi was having none of it and clean clocked Sam Sicilia and knocked him clean out in the first round about a minute into it. Before, I think Puig was only like 18 seconds or something like that. So this guy is a legit contender, and he will be coming up in that featherweight division within the next 18 months. I just don't see where Thiago Tavares, I know he's got a lot of experience fighting all different kinds of fighters. You can never write out a true kind of veteran what Tavares is. He's still a young guy. He's only like 30, 31 maybe. So you can never write out something like that. But I just think the aggressiveness that Do Ho Choi, and I mean, he fights so smart. I just can't see him losing this one. Beat Clay Guida last time out. Very quick submission via guillotine choke. Had a great fight with Brian Ortega. Very back and forth, where he got stopped in the third round, which Ortega's kind of getting known to do now in the third round. He's did that 3 or 4 times in his UFC career. Beat Robbie Peralta. Beat Justin Salas. Kind of low-level guys. Lost to Khabib. Got taken out in that one. Do Ho Choi for me is just one of the guys I'm looking forward to seeing this week. Can't pick against him. I think he's so clean that he's going to catch Tavares and just knock him down and follow up with ground and pound. I'm going to go round number 1, end of round number 1, but a TKO victory for Do Ho Choi. Moving on, we will have fights added to this card, obviously, from the TUF show. Andrew Sanchez is in the final. He will fight either Josh Stansbury or Khalil Roundtree. And of course, there's the ladies that will be on there as well. I will post my picks for those in the comment box below and give you my pick for that card, for those fights, sorry. But we're going to move on. We have a really good fight here. Ross Pearson against the debutant in Will Brooks. Let's talk about Will Brooks. Some of you guys might not watch Bellator. I watch Bellator. Usually the kind of day after the events happen, because we can't get it over here in the UK without getting a legal stream. But a really good fight. I'm really happy to see this guy in the UFC, because he's a guy I think wants to fight in the UFC. I'm sure he had more lucrative offers kind of all over the world for his services, but he came to the UFC wanting to fight the best, and that's what I think fighters outside the UFC should strive to do. I know they've got to look after the family, I know they've got to make their money, and but I know if I was in their position, money doesn't mean a whole lot to me. But when you're putting your health on the line like these guys are, then fair enough. But I just love that Will Brooks has come in here wanting to fight the best. A little bit surprised he's fighting Ross Pearson in his first fight and a couple of weeks' notice, but because I thought he probably deserves somebody a little bit better. But it is what it is. He's coming in here. He's got a tough guy in Ross Pearson, but I think it's a tailor-made fight for Will Brooks. I mean, he won a lot of fights in Bellator via decision. Marcin Held, Tiger Sarnavsky, Dan Jansen, beat Michael Chandler. He stopped him one time and then beat him by decision. Top guys, good guys, dangerous guys. And Ross Pearson, we've seen against Evan Dunham. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes in Glasgow. He just wanted to come out and bang and got taken. Evan Dunham, being the smart fighter, took this fight to the ground, kept him there. And this is why I 100% see Will Brooks doing the exact same here. But I think that Will Brooks needs to really push himself, move on to try and stop him, guys, because his wrestling's there, his striking is ever improving, but he needs to start finishing some guys, because the wealth of talent in the UFC, you're going to have dangerous guys come out. He's going to always have that wrestling, but try and finish. Especially, this is the fight I think he needs to try and finish, because Pearson can be finished. He's been around a long time, very tough, very durable, but I think Brooks can stop him. Do I see it? No, I think the smart pick is Will Brooks via decision, but you've got to remember, he is coming in here short notice. Fair play to Ross Pearson for taking this fight, by the way, because he had James Krause, and I think he's got a step up or two in Will Brooks here. But Brooks is coming in a few weeks' notice. That's something to always keep your eye on. I just can't see Will Brooks being denied in this one. Tough fight, very tough fight in his UFC debut, but I am going to pick Will Brooks via decision. And we're going to move on to the main event of the night, a fight I'm really looking forward to, one of the fights of the whole week. I'm looking forward to seeing your women's strawweight champion Joanna Jedrzejczyk fights Claudia Gadelha for the UFC Strawweight title. Now, we've seen these ladies on the TUF show. I don't think it's been a good show for Joanna fight-wise. I don't think she's come out looking good out of it at all. I mean, I've met her a few times, really nice girl, but she's not been portrayed well in the TUF show, where Claudia seems really, really nice, very polite, very civil. She's been attacked a little bit by Joanna, but that's what some fighters do. Joanna's did it in previous opponents as well, so plus these girls have got a little bit of back history. Before the title was even in the UFC, I believe these girls, I think, actually fought for the number one contendership in Phoenix, and it was a fight very, very close. Of course, Joanna outstruck Gadelha, but Gadelha, I watched the fight yesterday, and she landed, I think it was 6, maybe 7 takedowns in that fight, and lost. And to be honest with you, I kind of look at takedowns a little bit differently. Joanna managed to get back to her feet very quickly, land some strikes on the exit, so I don't really count them as much, but she still landed at least 4, maybe 3, 4 really good takedowns and kept her down there. I scored that on the night. I looked through my Twitter feed there and I scored it for Jedrzejczyk, but very, very, very close. And I saw a lot of people give it for Gadelha, and I can't go against what they guys were saying either. Let's talk about the skill sets. Joanna, we all know her striking is legendary at this kind of point. She has got an output where she just outstrikes her opponent. She did it with Valerie Letourneau, couldn't stop her there. Jessica Penney, she absolutely bludgeoned with strikes in Berlin, I think it was, and just beat her up really bad. I don't think Jessica Penney will ever be the same again. Ever improving takedown defense. She gets taken down. She got taken down by Juliana Lima. Val took her down. Who else took her down? Carla Esparza took her down momentarily, even though she beat the ass of Esparza. But that is somewhere where Gadelha can definitely take advantage of in this fight. That's one of her biggest weapons, I think, is getting this fight to the ground. But she has to keep it there. Jedrzejczyk has shown that she's made big improvements to get back to her feet. And once you get back to the feet with this girl, you can be in some deep shit. But I think Gadelha is really coming through at a really good time to beat Jedrzejczyk. I just think that I like her game. I like her overall game. I think she's a really good kind of pro, and she's a tough girl to face. Beat Jessica Aguilar last time out before losing that. She hasn't really fought too much, to be honest with you. I think she had some fights and she kind of pulled out due to injury. But I think I'm going to pick Claudia Gadelha in this fight. I think it's very close. She's never been in the championship rounds, I don't believe. I could be wrong with that. But I just think she's going to find a way to get this to the ground. And I think she might try and get... she might just kind of steal rounds that way. It's interesting to see like who makes the faster start, because if Jedrzejczyk can get off early and often, then she could easily win this fight and she could stop Claudia Gadelha. Gadelha has had problems with that kind of gas tank late on fights in the third round. Can she go that extra fourth, extra fifth? I believe she can. I believe that she's a true consummate professional. She can do that. She can make those adjustments and keep herself in the fight late on. I see a lot of people picking Joanna Jedrzejczyk. Can't disagree with you in that, but I think we're going to see a new champion. I could be completely wrong with this one, but just a feeling I've got for Claudia Gadelha. I won't be betting this fight, but I do think it's very, very close. So my pick is going to be Claudia Gadelha via a very close split decision. I think it's going to be really super, super close like the first fight, but Gadelha is going to get the nod in this one. So that is my pick for UFC the TUF 23 finale. I will be back tomorrow to release my video for UFC 200, which I'm looking forward to breaking down. I've already watched all the fights. I was going to do another video tonight, but I'm going to spend some time with my fiance, which I have to do, unfortunately. So I'll be back tomorrow after I finish work, and I'll get this video out for UFC 200. So come follow me on Twitter, Will Martin MMA. Follow the good guys down below me because they put out great content. So go follow them and watch their stuff, listen to their stuff, and I will be back tomorrow for UFC 200. Peace, take care, and enjoy the fights when they come around.